Taylor's on the upswing. Could less Etienne mean bigger numbers? White's receiving role, Connor's ceiling, and Chubb's uncertain status. NFL news drives fantasy value, so stand by for this week's top 5 fantasy headlines. Headline number 1, Taylor in the hunt for RB1 overall. Jonathan Taylor's NFL career has taken fantasy managers on a veritable roller coaster ride. The former second-round pick went from an RB6 season as a rookie in 2020 to winning the rushing title and finishing as RB1 overall in 2021. Then came up short with a pair of disappointing campaigns the last 2 years. There were various reasons for the dip, including an anemic Indy offense, injuries, and a lengthy contract dispute. But this year, as NBC Sports' Lawrence Jackson Jr. put it, Taylor will be out for blood in 2024, and how he finished last season lends credence to that. It was impressive. Armed with a new contract, Taylor ran for 487 yards and 6 touchdowns over his final 5 games. He scored at least 1 rushing touchdown in each of those contests. Jackson noted that Taylor was running back 8 on a points per game basis from week 8 until the end of the season. And despite sporadic availability, his 18.2 points per game from weeks 10 through 18 were 5th most at his position. In other words, we got a glimpse of the old Taylor. Is that enough for us to include him on the list of running backs capable of pushing Christian McCaffrey for RB1 overall in 2024? For me, it absolutely is. Remember, the Colts offensive line improved noticeably in 2023. With Ryan Kelly and all-pro guard Quentin Nelson holding down the middle, Jackson contends the unit could return to the top of the NFL again. But more than that, Taylor will benefit greatly from the presence of second-year quarterback Anthony Richardson. SI.com's Drake Wally believes Richardson and Taylor have the potential to become one of the NFL's deadliest offensive duos. I agree. At the very least, opposing defenders are going to have some very difficult decisions to make at the mesh point on RPOs. Taylor is running back 6 on the Footballguys consensus 2024 draft rankings. He holds that same spot on my own rankings. You'll find links to both set of rankings below. And that's one off his current running back 5 average draft position. Landing a high-end wideout in round 1 and grabbing Taylor at his ADP with the 13th pick overall in round 2, that could easily be the start of a league-winning draft. Headline number 2, Etienne's workload in the spotlight. After missing his entire rookie year because of injury, Travis Etienne Jr. became a top 10 back with back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons, 16 total touchdowns, and nearly 100 catches. Heavy usage was a factor in all of that. In 2022, Etienne accounted for 74% of the Jaguars' running back carries after James Robinson was traded to the Jets in mid-October. Etienne finished that season accounting for 61% of the running back carries and 60% of the running back touches. In an effort to dial back that volume in 2023, the Jaguars signed free agent running back Ernest Johnson and drafted Tank Bigsby in the 3rd round. And yet, Etienne's workload increased. He had 75% of the running back carries and 76% of the running back touches. As a result, Etienne carries 267 times, while no other back on the roster surpassed Bigsby's 50 carries. But the rushing game suffered as the season wore on, primarily due to the injuries on an already unstable offensive line. Etienne went from averaging the NFL's 4th most rushing yards per game, 72.9 in weeks 1 through 9, to averaging the 29th most, 47.2 in weeks 10 through 18. With an improved and healthier offensive line, the Jaguars hope the running game blossoms this fall. They would love to see Bigsby help them achieve what ESPN's Mike DiRocco characterized as their primary goal, easing Etienne's workload. This sets us up for another case of believing it when we see it. Etienne and San Francisco's Christian McCaffrey are the only players to rush for more than 1,000 yards and total more than 1,400 scrimmage yards in each of the past 2 seasons. As the most explosive backfield options on their respective teams, it's hard to take them off the field. And we shouldn't overlook that aspect of Etienne's game. As ESPN's Jeremy Fowler noted, one stat from last season perfectly describes that explosiveness. It came when Etienne hit 19.62 miles per hour while crossing the line of scrimmage. That's some serious short area acceleration. It's just 2.5 miles per hour off the top speed posted all year by DK Metcalf on a 73-yard catch and run. Last year, Etienne parlayed his workload, speed, and athleticism into a running back 3 finish overall for fantasy managers. This year, head coach Doug Peterson believes Etienne can do even better than he did in 2023. If so, the fact he's being drafted in the 3rd round with a running back 10 ADP means there will be some very happy Etienne investors when all is said and done this year. NFL training camps start rolling out next week, so make sure you get your Footballguys daily update. The biggest stories in football summarized, explained, and delivered straight to your inbox every day. Sign up and check it out. It's totally free, and you can unsubscribe at any time. You'll find a link in the description below this video, and while you're there, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment. Your feedback is heard and appreciated. Headline number 3, White sees a path to more production. Rachaad White came within 10 yards of breaking the 1,000-yard rushing mark last season, something no Bucs player has done since Doug Martin in 2015. Heading into his 3rd year in the league, White said during an appearance on the Rich Eisen show this past week that he's ready to smash that plateau. The Buccaneers selected Oregon's Bucky Irving in the 4th round of the 2024 NFL Draft, but all signs still point to White being primed for another heavy workload this season. How heavy can it be? Well, last year was massive. White's 272 carries tied for second most in the NFL. Throw in 64 catches, and he finished with 336 total touches, also second most in the NFL, behind only McCaffrey's 339. Although White wasn't an efficient runner, he averaged 3.6 yards per carry and only hit 100 yards twice all season. His 1,539 scrimmage yards were the 4th most in the NFL, and that's where White believes he can gain ground. The scrimmage yards are just going to speak for themselves, he said, because I've always been good catching the ball and running routes out of the backfield. He's not wrong. The Arizona State product displayed that pass-catching prowess by averaging 8.6 yards per reception last year, second best in the NFL for running backs with at least 50 catches. From a fantasy perspective, White's current 4th-round price tag is appealing. He sits at running back 15 on the Footballguys consensus rankings. He's an RB2 with the ability and opportunity to crack the top 10 at his position, just like last year when he finished as running back 4 in PPR leagues. Headline number 4, Connor claims last year was his floor, not the ceiling. According to ESPN's recent list of top NFL running backs, which was put together by surveying coaches, league executives, and scouts, James Conner was not even among the league's 17 best running backs. Fantasy investors have, nonetheless, enjoyed 3 years starting in 2021 in which Conner has posted 1,082 scrimmage yards or more. In addition, Conner, who made the Pro Bowl in 2021 when he ran for 15 touchdowns with 18 total scores, is coming off a career year. Despite missing 4 games on injured reserve with a knee injury, he rushed for 1,040 yards and 7 touchdowns. His rushing total and 5 yards per carry average were career highs. He also caught 27 passes for 165 yards and 2 more scores. Conner claims he's only getting started. That's the floor, not the ceiling, he told ESPN's Josh Weinfuss. Conner and the Cardinals are in their 2nd year with offensive coordinator Drew Petzing, which helps Conner's chances of repeating last year's success, but it won't be easy. Only 5 players had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons in the last 2 years, according to ESPN stats and information. McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, Najee Harris, and Etienne. Only 82 players have rushed for at least 1,000 yards in back-to-back seasons since 2000. But that's the goal, and despite the addition of Trey Benson in the 3rd round of April's NFL Draft, USA Today's Jess Root believes Conner is locked into a starter role. Are there concerns for Conner? Sure. Our own Julia Papworth, in naming him a potential bust in our Team Vibe series, see link below, points out that Conner has never played an entire season of football in his career, and Benson is coming off a 14 TD campaign during his final season at Florida State. Rookie receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. and the breakout tight end Trey McBride, well, they'll also demand their opportunities. Fair points. However, Conner's running back 24 ADP means he's going in the 7th or 8th round of ongoing drafts. That makes him an ideal running back 2 candidate for me. Headline number 5, Chubb's uncertain timetable. As ESPN's Daniel Oyefusi reported, Nick Chubb is yet to be cleared since sustaining a severe knee injury in week 2 that ended his 2023 season and required a pair of surgeries. In early June, Chubb said in his first comments since the injury that there is no timeline for his return. But as June wound down, we started getting some more, somewhat positive reporting. Cleveland Plain Dealer staffer Mary Kay Cabot advised readers the running back trainer who worked with Chubb for the first time on June 27th was amazed at where his client is only 7.5 months after undergoing surgery to repair his ACL, the second of his 2 surgeries last year. That trainer, Brad Lester, said he wouldn't be surprised if Chubb were available for the opener September 8th against the Cowboys. That's great. But this is probably a good time to reiterate, Lester is a private trainer. He's not affiliated with the Browns, and by his own admission, he hasn't consulted with the team's training staff. Instead, as Cabot explained, the Browns and their medical team will know when it's safe to put Chubb back out on the field, and there will be no rush. While there's no target date for his return, all involved have suggested Chubb will hit the field at some point. More immediately, when veterans report for training camp on July 23rd, the Browns will decide whether to place Chubb on the physically unable to perform list. The designation would prohibit him from practicing and also shed some light on the state of his rehab. Meanwhile, he's currently running back 43 on Underdog with a 12th round price tag. That seems reasonable for best ball purposes, but those interested in Chubb for redraft will want to see how it's playing out in training camp before investing valuable draft capital to secure his services. Until he returns, the team will lean on free agent addition Deonta Foreman and hold over Jerome Ford, who led the team with 813 rushing yards in 2023. Ford is currently being drafted as running back 39 in round 10 of ongoing Underdog drafts. Foreman is available as running back 63 in round 19. Both are reasonable gambles as currently priced. That's it for me, Bob Harris. I'll be back here next Friday with more of the fantasy news that matters most to you. Also watch for my fantasy notebook every Monday morning at footballguys.com.